Okay, this is the watch list creation for the US Open, New York, and Wall Street later on the 27th of October, Friday, end of the week, coming up to the end of the month. And let's get cracking. So, just taking a quick glance at the US dollar, um, it's somewhat subdued. It didn't manage to break out of uh, yesterday's highs. We've been sort of committed around that closing price. We're getting a bit of a burst to life from what is this here? This is it's going to be Wednesday's highs acting as support. So we've pumped up and up and up, and we've come down. The data highlight today, 8:30 on the calendar, is going to be September PCE, and personal income and spending will be reported at the same time. We got our first official reading of third quarter gross domestic product yesterday, and it was a good one. Yet the Fed tightening expectations remain subdued. We got a bit of a drop in yields, and the US dollar just couldn't seem to take off, although it did make a fresh high in the bullish cycle, um, with its pursuit up towards the October highs, which are up over here, around about the 107.36 area. Now, looking at this move down, seems to be a corrective move. Looking beyond the recent noise related to um, dovish Fed comments and some well publicized investor calls in the US Treasuries, nothing fundamentally has changed. So there's no reason really why the dollar's uptrend can't continue. Um, Simply put, the US economy continues to grow above trend, even as the rest of the world slips into recession. So the recent data as of yesterday, the economy is still running hot and needs further tightening. So fundamentally bullish, technically bullish, and potentially bullish for the day ahead. For a reversal to have taken place, what I would have liked to have seen was a break of yesterday's high early on in the day, but we haven't had that. As I said, we've been bouncing around this closing price point, and we're now starting to move up. I'm just wondering if we're not going to get a breakout, and if we do get that breakout, perhaps we'll get the fade, because we do have a fair bit of length in this market in the dollar as of this week. We came down, but we've moved up strongly. There does seem some reluctance to keep going on up as of yesterday. So I just wonder if we're not going to come up to come down, but we can't guess what the market's going to do. We're just preparing for the outcomes so that we can position ourselves accordingly when the uh, opportunities arise, or the opportunity on the day arises if we only get one opportunity from across the board. So we're looking for the best setup as possible, the most high probable, and let's get into that. So we'll look at the currencies first. Right, looking at this euro then. The euro is potentially a day two downside continuation day. Just get that right round. In that, day one, day two, day three, day one, day two. This is the 3 day cycle. Day one, day two, day three, day one, day two continuation day on Friday. And as part of the 3 day cycle from Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday breaks out of the low. Perhaps Friday's going to break out of Thursday's low. And that will give us 1, 2, 3 days of breakout traders since the breakout on Tuesday of Monday's low. You have exactly the same scenario for the euro, same scenario for sterling yen. Swiss yen is a day three reversal. This is the third day of breakout traders into last month's highs as potential support to look for the reversal. I have Aussie CAD as a day three continuation trade. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 continuation. continuation trade to the upside. You got the closing price as a potential support, and yesterday's high as a potential support for a continuation to the upside. Sterling Swiss is a day 2, 3-day cycle continuation day to the upside. Euro Oz, day 2, 3-day cycle to the downside, while below the closing price of yesterday, and it's the first day of breakouts as per yesterday, breaking yesterday's low. Dollar Swiss, day 2, continuation trade to the upside. I have the Aussie clocked as a day 2 in the 3-day cycle, continuation day on Friday, day 3, reversal into Wednesday high shorts within a first green day signal day. So yesterday's high 63.30 and yesterday's closing price 62.22 as potential support to buy from. 63.80 upside target. So the Aussie is a first green day, meaning yesterday closed up. We are looking to buy in continuation with that correction of Wednesdays and Thursday's downside. That breakout, that class is a failed breakout of last week's lows. So we're looking to get into the trend. And we've got yesterday's closing price and we've got yesterday's high as a potential support structure, as I just mentioned, right? So that's what we're looking for. Right, the sterling's relatively interesting because we can look at it two ways. We can look at all of these in two ways, but specifically sterling. So we've got sterling as a day 1, 2, 3 in the 3-day cycle. 1, 2, 3. So failed breakout. 1, 2, 3. So day 3 was yesterday. This makes it day 2 today of the 3-day cycle. Day 2 of a 3-day cycle, with this being day 1, failure at the low of the day. Note that we haven't really broken out of yesterday's high. Okay, so because we haven't done that, it's not as easy to want to buy this as part of a 1-2 continuation day. It's also a first green day signal day today, because yesterday came down to the low, failed and rallied, but there are no signs of a continuation yet. And in fact, we're breaking lows, we're making lower lows to the downside from yesterday's high. We're also below yesterday's closing level. And we are now taking out the low of last month. So this, therefore, is crying out to me for a day 2 short. Now, to confirm that, we need to start seeing strength out of the US dollar. So we need a continuation of that dollar strength. However, I'm a bit reluctant to put it in the category of a bearish setup. I'm going to leave it as a first green day and we'll just keep our eye on it. I mean, technically, we did break yesterday's high, but I don't like this pumping lower lows. With that being said, if we get the opportunity, we'll have 1, 2, 3 pushes out of yesterday's closing price. 1, 2, 3. 3 is the magic number. So if we start to see support, I mean, we may even come down to last week's lows, and that might be a dump pump opportunity in line with the correctiveness from Thursday. So there are two ways to look at it. So we're going to leave it as a first green day buy low prospect. I mean, we may find that we're going to find support at Wednesday's lows and, in fact, Wednesday's closing price, which is last month's low. So we'll draw that in because that could have some significance on the day. All right, so potentially buying low from here. Now the ATR on this is around 90 odd pips. That will take us through midweek highs. So we can mark that up as a potential target on the upside. So 2 ways to look at this one, and let's stick with the bullish bias as per the first green day signal day to the upside. Dollar CAD is an inside day, not interested in it. Dollar yen is an inside day, not interested. Gold is an inside day, not interested. Kiwi is in line with the Aussie. First green day buy from closing price opportunity to the upside. Now we'll cover stocks and commodities. So at the moment, not interested in oil. Sorry, it's an inside day at the moment. First red day if it were to break the high and fail, but it's come up pretty well. Yeah, could be 1, 2, 3 pushes for a short, but it's an inside day at the moment, so not going to do anything with it. US 30, we got a nice trade out of this one yesterday, over 4R. I've got the Dow as a day 2 continuation trade to the downside. Day 2 continuation trade. Continuation. All right, day 2 continuation trade to the downside. We'll be looking for a pump up to the closing price, depending on how far this shoots down. If not, it would be the yesterday's low as resistance areas to be looking for the short, in line with the dominant trend, making for 1, 2, it'll be the second day. Well, it is the second day of breakouts, breaking out of Wednesday's low, midpoint of the week. 1, 2. So we're in day, what are we? Day 2 of breakouts, day 2 of the 3-day cycle. On day 3, it could be a real runner. S&P is an inside day at the moment, but it looks like it's going to come down and take on yesterday's closing price. And therefore, the downside is vulnerable. Yesterday's lows. NAS is also an inside day at the moment. So that draws us to a conclusion of the watch list. So the standout pairs for me are going to be the Aussie and Kiwi, cable, euro, yen, sterling yen, and I like this potential for a continuation in the Dow to the downside as the standout pairs at the moment. Right, we've got 30 minutes to go until economic data, and then we've got the Michigan Sentiment Report later on in the day. And remember, it's the end of the week. We've got Fed next week, end of the month. Good luck out there.